Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have another great show for you tonight, so boys, let's get it started. We start with the Celtics, and we start with the longtime announcer to the Boston Celtics. There are three guys when you think of announcers for the Boston Celtics. Of course, our generation, we think Johnny Most. And then, of course, Mike Gorman and Tommy Heinsohn. Mike Gorman hasn't said a crossword about the Celtics or a crossword about anyone for 40 years. Mike Gorman on a radio station today literally goes off on Tatum and Brown and defends Brad Stevens. It felt like a little bit more of, if somebody's going out the door, it shouldn't be Brad Stevens. It should be some of the players. Pretty remarkable moment in this week in Celtics lore when you have this kind of announcer with this much cachet make this type of statement.
Scott, you just said the word cachet, and who could have more cachet than Mike Gorman? This guy has watched every game. He's been around the players. He might as well be. He's been with so many groups of players and teams, and for him to come out and it wasn't like a violent vitriol of.
I don't know. He pulled no punches, Timmy.
Well, in his way, he said it. You know what I mean?
I thought it was pretty daring.
Well, he wasn't like Stephen Smith, like going off yelling.
No, but that's not his act.
That's not his style. You know what I mean?
That was pretty shocking, and it was pretty clear who he was talking about because he was naming names.
Yeah, he named he didn't name Shemi Ojale or Tristan Thompson even. He went to the two stars on the team and basically said, terrific players. I'm glad they made the All-Star game, but they need to start playing more as teammates as opposed to individual contributors. And he's not wrong. These guys are putting up numbers, they're performing, but the team doesn't seem to be playing very well.
He called them selfish, Joe. He said they don't pass. And then he literally described every quarter, at the end of every quarter, Tatum just bounces the ball and heaves up a 30-footer.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's the problem in the fourth quarter. Kemba brings it up. If he doesn't take it, he passes to Tatum, who looks around. That's the one criticism I have of Tatum. He doesn't facilitate the other players around. He doesn't create opportunities for the other players. We always say Larry Bird made everyone else around him better. Jason Tatum, for all his talent, doesn't do that.
Yeah, look, the fact is, guys, that this team could not make the playoffs at this point. They're really borderline whether they would even make the playoffs. That's pretty remarkable for the talent that they do have. How much responsibility does Brad Stevens take for this?
Yeah, I was asking, I put that same question to a bunch of my friends on high school friends on a group text. And I said, apportion the blame between Ainge, Brad, and the players and the star players. And I think Brad gets his fair share, but I think Danny's right with him. I find it hard that it's not 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 right now. I mean, it's a real problem because all three entities have not performed well.
But this is the kind of thing, Russ, that you've said before. Last season, you were probably given the same kind of division of the pie. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Nothing's changed, but they did get their act together last year, and that's the hope this year.
Well, I would like to bring this up. How much of a factor is Marcus Smart not being in there affecting this team right now? I mean, when we talk about playing as a team and bearing down when times get tough, I mean, that's the Marcus Smart factor to me.
Well, Timmy, we have enough of a sample size. Their record this year is significantly better with Smart than without him. And I think for all the horrible shots he throws up and all that, he is mentally tough. He's the kind of guy who in the fourth quarter of a game is going to provide some mental toughness because right now they're just soft at the end of these games.
But they're rudderless as far as leadership, Joe.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Brad should stand up and take a stand sometime. They're the worst, not one of the worst. They are number 30 in the NBA in fourth quarter efficiency.
That's right.
30th.
Yep.
So my point was, and Timmy, I'm going to give you your props here. My point was, in the NBA, the best player is always the leader. It's just historic. But in this case, I wanted Tatum and Brown to step up in the leadership role. They're not qualified enough, clearly, right now to do it. That's where Marcus Smart must stay on the team, and it's Marcus Smart's team.
I've said it before. There are guys who are born leaders, and they don't get up. It's not always the rah-rah guys. It's the guys who, it's the guy that will jump, that you feel like will jump on a grenade to save you. And that's the feeling I get with Marcus Smart. Like, he will do anything for that team to do better. That's the vibe I get from Marcus Smart. And that's the guy, those up Brown and Tatum, will they have it later? It took Paul Pierce a while. He went through that stage of kind of being like these guys are right now. And then, he grew out of it and he became Paul Pierce. These guys are not Paul Pierce yet,
Russ, is Marcus Smart Brad Stevens horse whisperer, dog whisperer?
He could be, a good coach has that guy in the locker room who's somewhere between a whisperer and the muscle, right? Yeah. You need the muscle. You need to go, and it's possible they're missing that. I think in terms of leadership qualities, Jaylen Brown has them. I do think, but he's also not the best player in this team. We're not considered to be the best player in this team right now, to your point, Scott. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this sorts out.
And Joe, the third best player on this team, Kemba Walker, personality-wise, Kemba looks like he's never had a bad day in his life, and win or lose, he's going to be okay with it. He's not the kind of guy that you want on a max contract with a team like this.
Oh, and his performance this year has been very disappointing. He's always all team. My teammates this, my teammates that, my guys. But, geez, his play does not translate, and his shooting's been worse.
Oh yeah,
he's been, but I gotta say the offense doesn't run as well when he's off the floor.
Well, I'll tell you, that New Orleans game, there was several opportunities. He had the wide open three for like game altering shots. The Celtics to break a run or whatever, or to put the dagger in New Orleans. And those balls looked like they went halfway into the hoop, rolled around, and came out. And then he really missed on a third one, I believe. But he had two that looked like they were halfway down in the bucket and they came out. This league, you live and die by the three, and he's dying by the three right now.
But also his signature move where he puts a fake on someone and shoots a 10, 12-footer. He was money last year, never missed. He hasn't made one clutch one. He's had the open shots. Yeah. He's had plenty of open 12-footers, and he's missed every one of them.
Well, there's another guy who's missing a lot of two-pointers, and that's Tatum, too. Which goes to there's a problem with the offensive system on this team right now, right? We can sit here and say they missed open shots or they're missing shots they used to make. The fact is, the worst shot in the NBA right now is a contested two. That's outside the lane. And we've got two guys on this team, our best player and our third best player, who take a lot of contested twos.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want defensively, is guys taking 18-footers.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fading away. They create the separation, then fade away. It's the worst shot in the NBA, just statistically.
And you can understand why the Mike Gormans of the world are criticizing Tatum and Brown, because the fact is that you have received remarkable contribution from guys like Tice, from guys like Williams, guys like Pritchard. These are people players that have played much better than we expected this year. And this should have brought them to the next level. And it's actually brought them down.
Can we talk about Rob Williams for a minute here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm loving him.
Yeah.
I can talk, I'm a size guy, and he's what I dream about. That guy is contesting every shot down low, and he's even blocking some threes. And, there's a bouncing ball up there. And, when he's out there, we're going to get it,
Well, look. He really shined in the playoffs last year, especially again in the Toronto series. I felt like Brad Stevens didn't play him enough in the Miami series, and that may have cost them a trip to the finals. Brad Stevens is finally figuring out how to use Rob Williams, and that is to play him.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Rob Williams hurt in that Miami series? The hip was bothering him.
He was, yeah. Look, I think no matter whatever Danny does, and he's got a lot of things he needs to do, he's got some decisions to make. I hope one of the outcomes is to create space for Williams to play more, right? Because developmentally, we've been all talking about Clint Capella as being, the ceiling for Williams, and for him to get to be Clint Capella, he's going to need to start playing 25 minutes a night, night in and night out. And right now there's a logjam. And by the way, all three of those guys have value. Tice has been terrific, and Thompson's tape definitely played better the last couple of weeks. But right now, unless you can play two bigs at once, Williams is not going to get more than 18 minutes a night.
Well, it's not out of the question.
He's on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, that his minutes were restricted because of the.
That's a good point.
Who do you feel better? Who do you feel better when you're looking like at who's out there? Do you feel better when Williams is out there or when Tristan's out there? I feel better when Rob's out there.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there's just going to be more alterations of the other team's shots. We're going to get those contested rebounds. We might get an offensive board. We're going to get some alley-oops going on.
But what you have is
one thing that Rob does come in when the other team's first-string big man leaves.
Yeah, if there's a real big guy,
he has lesser of competition.
Yeah, if there's a real big guy in there for the other team, Tristan Thompson's not getting those rebounds.
But also, what Rob Williams does, and we saw that in the Toronto series last year with Lowry and Van Fleet, he changes what they want to do. They're not often driving to the basket when they know he's going to send it back to them.
Yeah, those little dudes that weasel their way in there and get those layups, that goes away when Rob's in there.
And we have four. I just want to mention we have four guys on the roster right now under 6 feet. We're not even Brookline High School when it comes to that stuff. All right, we had the boys and I do a text thread during the course of each game, and one Aaron Neesmith seems to be a big topic this week. Nobody's rooting more for Aaron Neesmith than me because I wanted a shooter. Okay. I wanted to shoot.
So can I ask you a question? Normally, when you root for guys and you're the biggest rooters around, you actually type the words "he's dead to me." Is that a normal thing? Like when Mookie Betts went 0 for 5 one night, did you write "he's dead to me"?
No, it's just the way I process relationships.
What do you think? Iterate everything but shooting.
Lucas comes home with a D- on the report card. He's dead to me.
He's dead to me.
No, let's be honest. Aaron Neesmith has been a disappointment offensively.
Has he ever? Well, we thought we were getting a drop-dead three-point shooter. That guy was going to Vinny the microwave. You know what I mean? That's what I thought we were getting, and it's not what it appears that we got.
What I worried about was he has problems getting his shot.
Well, look, he has problems getting a shot when they're not throwing the ball to him. And I watched 3 times last night where he's a corner 3. He's positioned in the weak side corner 3. That's what he's been told to do. That's what he does. Right. And there were 3 times last night where there were diagonal passes across the court that if they'd been made to him, he'd have had a wide open corner 3. And none of those times those passes were made. And that goes back to the beginning of our conversation. The ball is sticking on Tatum and Brown, and they're not looking for the open guy. And he should be able to shoot over 40% from the corner, period. But he's not getting the ball.
Tatum was just terrible last night when it came to that. It felt like he was the only one in the court. It's very weird, the relationship between Tatum and Pritchard and Walker and Pritchard. Walker could not be more supportive of Pritchard. Tatum is constantly yelling at Pritchard, and what he's yelling him at is, when you get past half court, give me the ball and go away.
Yeah.
And
it's a good relationship with Rob Williams, though.
You know what I see when Paul Pierce gets the ball, and he says, "I don't care what defense they throw at me. I don't care. I'm taking the shot. No matter what happens, I'm taking the shot." And the thought of passing the ball, it's like being a Hun in hockey. You know, I'm taking the shot. I don't care if they triple cover me. I'm taking the shot.
Okay, we've asked this question to you guys a lot, and I know Timmy wants a big guy, but what position do we need the most right now? Do we need a wing? Do we need a big guy?
Well, my choice has been with Rob getting more time. My desire for a big is diminishing a little bit.
So we just need a guy.
I think it's a bigger wing, right? And somebody who can potentially start. If you can start that, you can start him. You move Tatum and Brown down. You can still bring Smart off the bench, which is where he's best. I think you need a really good wing player. Period.
Yeah. When we
I
saw
don't want anybody who's shorter than 6'5".
No, the Atlanta game we saw with Capella and Collins. I'd take either one of those guys.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, but honestly, I'm with Tim. Like you have essentially a Capella type player. We do not really have a huge problem at center right now, because any big that you're going to bring in to play against Embiid is going to not be playable against 80% of the other players and teams in this league.
We have three guys that can match up against different guys. You throw Tice against some guys, Tristan against others, and Rob against others. We can match up. It's the wing, like you said, and preferably about 6'8", 6'9".
Yep.
Are we
get inside a little too?
Are we delusional to think that they are 2 players away from competing for an NBA championship this year?
You know what shocks me, Scotty? Every team they play against has a superstar. You know, we played New Orleans. They got that kid there who's a freaking bull in a china shop.
No, it was the other kid from the Lakers that was the best kid out there.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it doesn't seem like there's any walk in the parks these days. You know, everyone you're playing seems to be competing.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good players in the NBA, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we, in theory, have
best players in the world.
We have 2 all-stars in theory.
You asked the question, Scotty. Are they? I don't think they're 1 player away. I think they're 2. I don't know if they can get 2. You know, and obviously Smart. You know, if you figure Smart and another like legitimate wing, a Harrison Barnes type, or Larry Nance.
However, if
you
Kemba,
bring Smart in and one of those guys, can they compete and get themselves into the Eastern Conference Finals?
It's a huge part of this Kemba Walker not being Kemba Walker right now.
And that's the other piece of it.
That's a gigantic part of this right now. He's not the guy. We thought he was going to be like 85% of Brown and Tatum, and he's playing like 35% of Brown and Tatum right now. He was supposed to be that guy who could, you know, one of the 3 guys that could take the shot at the end of the game, and you had a high level of confidence that he was going to make it, and he's not that guy. He's not even close to being that guy.
Yeah, ultimate failure. All right, we got to get off the Celtics right now. We got to go to the New England Patriots. April 29th is the NFL draft. I've heard more quarterback names that are heading here to the Patriots. Mariota is the flavor of the week. That just doesn't move the dial at all for me.
It's all smoke screens. It's all smoke screens.
The reason why I'm laughing is I can just imagine in like game 6, the vitriol texts that Scotty will be sending about Marcus Mariota. It will be worse than anything he's ever said about Daniel Nava, Cam Newton, Marcus Smart, all of his favorites.
Aaron Naismith even.
Kelly Olynyk was one of my favorites.
David Krejci.
Do we have faith? Do we have faith in Bill right now that he's got some freaking devious plan that's gonna pull us out of this? Or
I don't think he has a devious plan. He just has a regular old plan, and they'll come out of it. They're looking. They got a lot of money and a lot of leeway right now because the teams that they want to take from are all in cap hell.
So, Joe, I got a question for you because you probably pay more attention to this than anybody. You know, he's sitting on something like $60 million of cap space. You know, do you see him going out and signing a bunch of middle-class players, like really just bringing it out? You know, because look, when they've been great, they've had a really strong middle class on this team, right? That has gotten them through a lot of tough situations. Do you see him using that to sign a bunch of middle-class players or stars?
Well, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 stars because he's going to want to sell tickets. Remember coming back to a season where no one went last year. Everyone got used to sitting at home. It's a lot easier than wasting the whole day down there in Gillette. He's going to have to sell tickets, so he's going to have to make a splash. Where he makes the splash is beyond me. He would like to make it on defense, but I think to sell tickets, you got to do it on offense.
Yeah, I hope it's not the Tyler Efforts of the world.
No,
guys
he'll
like that.
try to get, he'll go for someone like Chris Godwin. Because they'll stick it to the Buccaneers, because they've been poaching them. They were tampering with James White the other day. Brady's inviting James White down, because he wants him to play there. He can't be doing that. That's tampering. That's poaching. You just got to leave the other people's players alone,
Godwin would cost a lot of money, Joe. He would not be cheap.
He'd be top dollar.
Yeah.
Well, you wonder, is every year we'd win the Super Bowl, half our team would get poached, so Tampa, everyone's buddy in the parade, you know what I mean? But then it comes time for the money to talk, and these guys have a limited career, and they got to take it when it's there. So.
Oh yeah, when it comes down to it, they got to go for the money, because most NFL players don't even get to the money contract. They don't make it through their rookie contract. If they do, they got to take the money.
Well, I don't want Mac Jones under any circumstances. It feels like a Daniel Jones thing. So I'm saying that out loud right now, and I don't want that skinny little wide receiver from Alabama who is so fragile. He makes like Kemba Walker look like
guys. We all know they're going to use that pick to take some defensive tackle. Like, we all understand this, right?
I would think so.
Or a linebacker.
Or a linebacker. Like, we're not going to get any sexy.
Hightower's replacement.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think you're right, Russ. I think it's going to be a lineman because he usually doesn't take linebackers in the first round. He's going to take some big, like Ty Warren.
Well, if that tight end from Penn State should manage to make it to 15, he's taking him.
You mean Florida State, Pitt?
Florida.
Oh yeah, Pitt.
Pitts.
Yeah, I don't think he's lasted. Yeah. Oh my God.
If he lasted, he would jump all over him.
Yeah, he may even trade up. He may surprise and trade up to get him.
If he gets close, he'll trade up a couple spots. But he's more likely to trade out of the first day.
All right, Russ is shaking. Oh, you don't even think he's going to draft?
No, he's not We're not getting any sexy picks. We're not getting Kyle Pitts. We're not getting a receiver. We're not getting a quarterback. We're going to get a defensive tackle, or he's going to trade into the 20s.
You know what, Russ? And that might be the right thing to do because that's how you build.
No, it's not. No.
We got freaking Bills got 6 Super Bowls saying it is. It wasn't always Brady.
It wasn't
always Brady.
He wants a sexy pick.
It was that kid being coached to intercept the ball against Seattle. Knowing the right play to make. And
Tom Brady was a 20-year Clearasil bottle. He covered up all this.
Here's my thing. That what they need to do, whoever they sign in free agency and whoever they draft, they got to get faster. They just have to get faster on both sides of the ball. There's no friggin' team speed on this team.
But it hasn't. You've been saying that for a couple of years, and they haven't.
Oh my God.
Well, I think they'll be faster next year just by all those rookies playing last year with all the opt-outs and everything.
Yeah,
they'll be faster because they'll know where to be next year.
Okay, well, I'm going to just say it every week. The guy who should be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots should be Jimmy G. And that's
by the way, now if you were to vote, when we do this every couple of weeks, who do you think is going to be the quarterback next year, Timmy? Starting quarterback.
Jimmy G.
Joe.
Didn't hear you.
I could read his lips. He said Jimmy G. Scotty.
Yeah, Jimmy G's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the quarterback too.
Yeah, but Shanahan owes him. He owes Bill Belichick because he gave him that deal, and now Shanahan soured on Jimmy G, and so he needs to give him back second round pick, and we'll call it a day. Joe, we can't hear you right now on your audio. So we'll go to the Boston Red Sox, and I have to be honest with you, Heim Bloom is starting to grow on me. So really, I just feel. Look, the fact is, Russ, that he was just terrible in the interviews the first few months here. It was almost like he was incoherent. I didn't even understand what the hell he was talking about. He seems more relaxed in year 2, and he seems to be able to communicate more with the fans that he did last year. And also, he's starting to have more control of the team.
Well, you're a good judge in these things, so I think you're probably right. He's probably just more settled in and comfortable in his own skin, and has probably, I look. Everyone knows he was forced to make those initial moves last year in trading bets, and now he seems to be doing things on his own accord, and that makes all the difference, right?
Yeah, and a guy like Verdugo could be a star in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, there's and then if one of the other guys, the Jeter Downs or the Connor Wong, become a contributing Major League Baseball player, then that wasn't a bad deal.
Oh, too bad we don't get Joe on this.
No,
if you look at
microphone.
What the Rockies got for dealing Arredondo, it makes the Betts deal look pretty good.
Yeah, and that's we always paint the picture that you got to go really heavy in these deals to get these guys, and a lot of these deals, especially in the NBA during the season, aren't that heavy in players. People are not willing to give up young players no matter what.
Hey, so I'm interested. Where do they stand on the salary cap now, the Red Sox?
They're under the penalty.
I mean, way
No,
under.
yeah, they're under the penalty, right? Yeah.
How many people are we still paying out there wandering around the world?
David Price, I think we're paying what, 16 million or something like that this year.
Yeah,
This year.
Yeah.
No, but we didn't pay him at all.
I should have practiced my batting skills more. I'll tell you that.
Well, we didn't pay him. Wait, we didn't pay him last year because he opted out. Is he pitching this year?
Yeah.
How about the Panda? Are we still writing the Panda checks?
No,
we're out on the Panda. We're out on Rusney Castillo.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
Finally,
big one.
we're out.
We're under Manny. And then Manny,
Manny Ramirez, we still paying him?
Manny Ramirez. We're out of them pretty much. And we're stuck with Dusty for what, 2 more years?
2 more years.
Well, they probably bought him out though, Scotty. I don't know how much is on the contract, but they may have bought him out.
Maybe gave him a little discount and stuff, right? So they let him.
What was the highest we were sending checks out? Does anyone know our peak that we were paying people not to play for the Red Sox? Like the grand total?
Not play for the Red Sox.
Not play for the Red Sox.
Over 60 million, wouldn't you say, Russ?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they're at the peak. Timmy, you're right. I mean, Panda. It was horrible there. Castillo paying him to play in AAA. I mean,
Alan Craig. Remember Alan Craig?
Oh my God.
I mean, they're just guys that collected checks, and I didn't even remember they were on the roster.
Had no recollection of Alan Craig whatsoever playing for this team.
I've never heard that name in my life. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I remember it was like a big deal at the time. Yeah.
No, I mean, we're talking about like 8 million for like 4 years, and he just sat there in Pawtucket happy as hell.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that they're going to try not to do that in the high and bloom.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, they're going to try not to do that in the high and bloom administration. So, hey, look, they are getting a little. Looks like their farm system is showing signs of life again. So, we all like the young kids, right? Don't we? Yeah. Don't we love it with the young kids coming up?
You do love it when they say we have a good farm system and it's promising. It just gives you some type of hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really stinks when they say you have the worst farm system. That's not a good feeling.
Well, we've been fortunate the last 15, 16 years. I mean, we've had great young players come up, and they've won World Series.
Yeah, we certainly had a good run. That's for darn sure.
The Johnny Lesters of the world, the Papelbons,
but in 2 years ago, the greatest outfield in baseball went away.
Look, looking back on that, I think we're going to look back on that 2018 team and realize it literally was one of the best teams ever. But it's also mainly a homegrown team. At least the everyday players were, we had 7 guys on any given night, maybe 8 who come up through the system. It was incredible.
And if we had Pedroia, that would have been another one.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it was a fun team. It's my favorite team in my lifetime.
There was some pleasant moments in Section 8 that year.
we had fun.
All right, I remember sitting there looking at you and saying, this is the best baseball team we'll ever see in our life.
Yeah. No, it was like a video game. I say it all the time. Every time I wanted them to score an insurance run or do something that came to my mind, they did it. And the next time, it was fantastic. All right, we wrap it up with the Bruins. Bruins are the best team in the Eastern Division. They got like 62 divisions now in the NHL. Bruins have a nice combination of young and veterans, and Timmy's favorite goalie. Again, it looks promising.
Sure does. You know, they've integrated these young guys when they needed to. And Joe was saying earlier, they look, look, they look more athletic out there. They look faster and more capable of doing more things. So, I mean, Timmy, you got to be pretty happy with how this season is turning out.
Yeah, well, the only thing that makes me a little nervous is taking Pasternak off of that first line. I mean, I have so much joy watching that line operate out there, and to see, that when you're coaching a hockey team, that's always one of your worries. Do I split the talent up? Do I put them all out there on the first? Do you take your two best defensemen and your three best forwards and put them all together, and you're going to get production out of them, But or do you balance it out? Do you put your worst defenseman with your best defenseman? Do you put, that's something every coach wrestles with, I think. And I think they're trying to get more production out of the rest of the team and maybe moving past it. But I hope that doesn't backfire on the production of that line.
Well, we've been talking about you for years, and especially Rusty Boy, about Patrice Bergeron being his favorite Bruin, one of his favorite Bruins of all time. And again, Patrice Bergeron, I thought he was kind of done. I thought this was going to be, he's having a remarkable season.
He looks like he's as good as ever. I agree, Timmy. They put Pasta back on that line. I think once Kasha comes back and, they'll rejigger it. He's not going away from that line for very long. It's just too tempting.
Also, Sweeney needs to go out and get a really good or a star player before the deadline.
You really think so? Like, I don't feel like he needs to do that. I maybe I'm wrong, but
look, you're not getting great production out of guys like Coyle. I mean,
but I give him a few games. Like, I don't know. He just scored the other night. I think he's still a really solid player. But you could be right.
He is. Look, if you can get a top player and you can end up putting him on the second line, and all of a sudden you don't give up, like Timmy said, what you have, which is a great, remarkable thing in the first line. All right, well, boys, that's our show for tonight. Want to thank, of course, Corbin behind the scenes. Want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.